Hey, this is Zyron again. And last week we were talking about the secrets of 2012 revealed by the Rider-Waite Tarot. This week I'd like to talk about a continuation of that. Whenever you're doing anything and you want to get to a result, you usually do a countdown. So as we get to 12/21/2012, once we get to that date, we're going to want to do a countdown to that date, and that will always mean you start with 10 and you end up with 0. Now the only card in the tarot that has a 0 on it is the Fool. It's basically the beginning of tarot readings. The Fool is a very interesting card because it has good and bad connotations to it. And one of them is the Fool is basically an independent person who likes to travel, likes animals, likes beauty, just more or less likes to take trips and see and be around nature. Now there is a sun in the sky, and I want you to notice that about this card. But this is the card with 0, so this is the card that basically is going to represent that day in the tarot. And so as we count down to 0, this is the card that marks 12/21/2012. It's do we act like fools, or do we learn something and not cause things to happen? There is some things in this card. For instance, the background, what looks like white mountains, that really looks like a giant wave to me, which is what it could symbolize. Because when Pamela Coleman Smith created these cards, I don't think she knew everything she was doing in it. There are some aspects to the card that suggest painfully gained knowledge, and that we are going to have to suffer, and that the sun represented in the sky here may be the clue to what's actually going to happen on that day. Now, there's going to be 10 days between 12/21/2012 and the end of the year. Now those 10 days between 12/21/2012 will be marked by this card. It has 10 at the top. This is the Wheel of Fortune. Now earlier on I mentioned the 4 fixed astrological signs in last week's video. This one also has the same 4 signs in it. They're fixed. But these are more nebulous, and they also have open blank books, which means the 10 days from 12/21/2012 leading to the end of the year are the most important 10 days in the history of man. Something's going to happen that day, within those 10 days, and we need to pay attention to them. We're counting down to the final end of the year, and this particular card tells us a lot about what's going to happen. If you notice, there's a serpent floating down from the Wheel of Fortune itself, and this is the only card in the tarot that actually has the word tarot on it. It's actually reversed. It's written right up in here, T-A-R-O-T. And it's very strange how it does. It has a lot of Jewish symbols from the Kabbalah, and they can represent various aspects of the Kabbalah. It has the devil down at the bottom, meaning we have to be very careful that our so-called wisdom doesn't take us directly to the devil. There is a blue sphinx at the top. It may be difficult to see in this card, but there will be one up on the screen. You might see it better. And the blue sphinx stands for spiritual wisdom, which means we have to choose between spiritual wisdom and the devil, or we're going to get some very severe consequences. We have those 10 days to write the book of the future. Now when we get through those 10 days, which I believe each one of them is going to be marked by the High Arcana, the actual 10 cards that represent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, till the end of the day. But there's so much possible information in there that I'll leave it up to the viewer to look at those cards. They're in the Rider-Waite Tarot, and they're the Higher Arcana, and they're number 1 through 10. But when we get to the end of the year, we begin what is called a new year, and this is the card for it, the sun. Now I've discussed the sun in the past, so you're probably very familiar with the meaning of this card. I do want you to notice that the sun in this card takes up almost half the card, which suggests the sun has something to do with what's going to happen in those 10 days. And strangely enough, on the 12/21/2012, the sun will be at the height of the solar sunspot cycle, which means if there's going to be a dangerous solar event, this is what it means. Something very bad might happen in those 10 days. But when we get to the end of those 10 days, which this is the beginning of the new year, we have two cards that will mark that new year. Now, when I first looked at the tarot, I was surprised at what I found, and I revealed that to you last week. But what the mark of the year 2013 is even more frightening, because of what it could mean. And the two cards for that year are the number 20, Judgment, and the number 13, Death. Which means death can mean new beginnings, completions, endings, changes, but it could also mean what it actually says on this card. Now, this card is loaded with symbols that are very, very, very powerful. There is a fallen king down at the bottom. There is the Pope, or a religious figure, standing in, admonishing death, maybe even trying to hold it back, or even offering something to it. But what's really worrisome to me is this sun symbol in the background, the sun rising. I think the fact that the sun is showing up all over the place is the major clue we should pay attention to. Something is going to happen with our star, the thing we take the most for granted, sometime either on 12/21/2012 or sometime between that date and the end of the year. And the new year is going to be marked by these two cards, Judgment and Death. Now, there's lots of good and hopeful meanings to these cards, but I think they're a signal, and we need to pay attention.